Hello you lovely people, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be something totally different to what I normally do, and it's about the biggest Western scam that there is, and that is marriage. Because it's when you get married, the system is rigged against you from the very start, from the very time you sign that name on that certificate to say you're married. It's against you. It's all rigged against you. Now, here in the Philippines, we know what we're getting into, how we can lose things through land. We can't own land, so we knowingly walk into it. Okay, when you're in the West, and I'm talking about the UK now, I would imagine it's the same all in Western countries. Now, let's just say you get married in the West, okay, and you've been together for a long time, and you've got kids together, right? Now, 50% of marriages end up in divorce in the Western world. And I don't know if you know this, but between 70 and 80%, the woman petitioned the divorce. So she wanted 80% of divorces are through women who don't want to be your wife anymore. Okay, now I know in some cases it's quite right too. The husband might have been a proper twat, and she can't live with him no more. But let's just say he hasn't, right? In this case, only in this case I'm talking about. So in this case, the whole system is rigged against him from the start, right? Because he's gone through a divorce now, right? He gets divorced, he's got kids. They've put money into the house, him and his wife. Well, generally speaking, you might get something out of it. You won't get a lot out of it because the wife will normally have the kids. That's how it works in the UK. It's very difficult to get custody of the kids in the UK unless you can prove that your ex-wife is unfit or something like that. But not only that, you might have been a great father, right? Now, when you are going for access in the UK, if it's not done amicably between you and your ex, where you've decided it together, I was lucky. I was allowed to see, mine, Leighton on a Friday, and I should take him back on a Sunday. So I was very lucky like that. My wife was very kind like that. My ex-wife was very kind. But in a lot of instances, some women use that leverage against you as well. So let's just say you go to a court, a family court, right? Now, like I said, it's rigged against you because that judge, he doesn't think about your feelings. He doesn't think about the time you've spent with the kids, the sacrifices that you've made for the kids, and not just for the kids, but maybe for your wife as well, because don't forget, in this case I'm talking about, you didn't want a divorce. Now, in the UK, you go through a divorce, and if you don't want it, it drags on for a long time. If it's only one party that wants the divorce, depending on what the reason, if it's like an irretrievable breakdown where she doesn't love you no more, it takes longer, but the end result is the same. You still end up divorced. And the worst part about it is the judge, all he's looking for is how much money he can extract from you. That's what he's looking for. He's not thinking of your feelings. He's not thinking of how many sleepless nights you were with that child when he was sick or something like that. The places you took him, the blood, sweat and tears you sacrificed in your life work-wise, to put food on the table, to buy a house, to give that child everything you possibly could. He doesn't think of that. Of course he doesn't. Like I said, the system is rigged against you from the start. All he's thinking of is, how much is your salary? How much can we take from this man? How much more can we kick him in the teeth when he's already down? So that's what they do. And they take you know, and they say, well, you got to pay this much to your ex-wife until blah blah time, you know, you're not getting anything of the house, or you get a tiny percentage of it, but at the moment we're not making her sell the house because she's got children under the age of education, where they haven't left school yet. So normally that house is normally kept as the family house without you being there. The system is rigged against you. And the worst part about this is, you get access. Like I said, if it's not done amicably, it's done through the courts. Okay? You get access when that judge has talked with your ex, and when she has decided when you can see. So she decides your access to your children. Again, I'm talking of if it wasn't your fault and she just didn't love you no more, okay, and she's acting a proper twat herself, using the kids as leverage. All right. So the judge decides when you can see your kids. He decides access. It wasn't your fault why you got divorced in the first place. Okay? You love your kids. So why should you be penalised for something you didn't want, something you didn't deserve, and they taken away your access to the most important thing in your life? Because your kids are the most important thing in your life. Husbands, wife, girlfriends, boyfriends can be replaced. It's true. You can replace your wife, you can replace your husband, you can replace that. But you can't replace your kids. So the system is rigged against you. I keep saying that because it is. You're being kicked when you're down. Legally. Legally. So now you've only got access once a month. Let's just say once a month. For one day. What a terrible thing. Now, me including, I've talked about scams of the Philippines. But like I said, the scams of the Philippines, we know what we're walking into, generally speaking. There are lots of videos out there about it. But things like this is a legal scam. A scam that has been gone through the Houses of Parliament. You know, it's a legal scam where the man ends up with nothing. Generally speaking, the man ends up with nothing. And you know, I've got a friend called James Robinson, and he's been a good friend of me for a long time. And he's got a charity called Surviving the Streets in the UK, in Hastings, East Sussex, where I used to live. Now you can check his website out. You can mention me if you want to talk to him, ask him if he knows me. Of course he does. Now, he feeds homeless people. Now, many of us, when we walk past a homeless person, someone my age or something like that, you think, get a job, you bum, you drunkard. Now, we don't know what that person's been through. We just automatically think, get a job, I'm not giving you anything. Now, that person could be just like me or you, okay? And he's gone through something like this, a divorce, and he's lost access to his kids. And because he's lost access to his kids, his mind's not right. He's gone through a bad divorce, which he didn't want. He's lost his house. He's lost everything. He's lost his life. He's lost 20 years of his life, 10 years, 15, it doesn't matter. He's lost that amount of years of his life. And his mind's not right. So he loses his job. Because his mind's not right. He loses his job. He loses his interest in life. He ends up on the streets. Not because he wanted to. And he probably had a very good job before this, but he's give up. He's give up because the systems took everything away from him. It's the same as veterans, military veterans. Now, I know for a fact in the UK there are a lot of homeless veterans on the streets. Veterans who gave their service to the country during the Falklands War, for an example. And they saw things there, they saw their friends being blown apart, shot, lying in a ditch with them. So it's disturbed them. Post-traumatic stress syndrome, I think it's called. They come back, or they get discharged out of the army, or whatever they were in, and the government don't care about them either. They just put them, don't care about you. Doesn't matter, you've served here, you served there, doesn't matter now, you're in a civilian street, get on the street. What a terrible thing. The country should be taking care of veterans. Our country, the United Kingdom, should be taking care of its veterans. And they should also change this stupid law that is rigged against the man from the very start. Whereas if they can't prove nothing, that he didn't do anything wrong and that he's a fit father, then that access should never be taken away from him. Now in the Philippines it's a bit different. There is something called the family code in the Philippines. Whereas, because there is no true divorce, there is annulment, there is legal separation. Now, access with kids in the Philippines is a bit different to what it is in the UK, because there is an age here. And I believe the age, I don't know if it's 6, 7 or 8, is somewhere, I think it's 7 actually, but let's just score a year either side. So that the law stands as, if the mother's fit and you can't prove that she's unfit, that child stays with its mother until of that age, and then you can fight for access or whatever you want to do. But that aside, in the Philippines, if you haven't legal separation or annulment, and you haven't been done for adultery, because adultery is illegal here and you can go to prison, but let's just say you just fallen out of love with each other, okay, and you both want to move on, and you go through annulment or you go through that legal separation, then it doesn't matter if the man's paid 100% of the property and the assets, or the woman, his wife, ex-wife, has paid 100% of the assets. It gets divided 50-50. 50-50. So that is the difference here. People think in the UK when you get divorced it's 50-50. It never is. It never is. Most men come out of it in shit street, and they really do. But it's legally done. It's legally against you from the start, and it doesn't matter if the woman was a bad wife to you and you didn't want the divorce. You're still willing to to continue with it, but the woman divorces you and you lose everything. And the worst part about it is that it's legal. And when you go and sit in front of that judge and they are looking at you, they just looking at, like I said, and the lawyers, oh God, they are just vultures. They are just looking how to kick you as much as they can when you're down, and just to extract as much money from you as they can. And like I said, the worst part of all that is it's the kids that suffer, and the kids are the innocent ones in all this. The kids might have a brilliant relationship with their father, but yet, because the mother has a needle against the father or something like that, she uses some of them, not all. I'm just saying in this particular case I'm talking about, the woman would use the kids as leverage. And it's terrible how they do that. It's terrible how they can even contemplate doing that and legally do that. But again, I'll say it again, the system is rigged against you from the start. So before we start thinking of the scams in the Philippines, the biggest scam that there ever is marriage in the Western world for the man, if he hasn't done anything wrong. And the divorce is because your wife doesn't love you anymore. There you go, people. So before we start, thinking the Philippines is this, I lost a house in the Philippines, I did think of what you've lost in your own country, and think of the kids that you never got to see since that divorce on a regular basis, or as often as what you would like to, and as often as those children might want to see you. Food for thought, people. Just thought I'd say that. Anyway, see how quiet it is? All you can hear is the insects, the crickets. People, listen, whatever you're doing, do it well, and God bless you all. Over and out. See you next time, people. Take good care always.